The appendix is about the size and shape of a finger and resides at the bottom of the large intestine. What is the purpose of an appendix? Medical science isn't really sure. Why would an appendix get diseased? Again, medical science is not really sure. What we do know is that the appendix is kind of like a little balloon, and most of the time it just sits there doing nothing. But if it gets sick, it fills up with fluid. And if it ruptures, infected pus goes all over your insides. Hey, you knew it was a story about guts, right? Kelly, the woman to whom I am married, was not feeling too well in the middle of April 2013. She usually is, kind of really energetic, but she was gone to bed and just felt really bad. And I and other people had suggested she go to the doctor, and she said, no, they'll probably just tell me it's constipation and tell me to take X-Lax. Well, on the 15th, I know that it was the middle of April because on April 15th, at about 11:37 p.m., Kelly, with her yet-to-be-diagnosed ruptured appendix, and I were driving our tax forms downtown to be delivered. Now, I knew Kelly had a high tolerance for pain. She did marry me. But driving downtown with a ruptured appendix just doesn't seem right. So on the 16th of April, Kelly finally went to the doctor. Well, the doctor took one look at her and said, you need to be in the emergency room. The emergency room doctor did some tests, came back and said, you have a ruptured appendix, and it needs to come out tonight. Well, I quickly Googled ruptured appendix and found that 40% of people with that condition die from it. That was a long way from constipation. So the doctor told us the surgeon's been called, he's on the way, and wasn't there yet. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to run home. We're in the medical center. I'm going to run home and get some stuff because you'll need it. You're staying overnight. So, of course, as soon as I left, the surgeon arrived, and he was in charge. And though Kelly protested that she wanted to say hi to me, goodbye to me, whatever, before surgery, they took her into surgery without getting a kiss from me. Fortunately, the surgery went well, and she was brought to post-op recovery, and they said I could go see her. Well, I went in and was holding her hand, and the nurses said, you could go in this other room and lie down, but I wanted to stay with her and hold her hand. So they found an office chair with wheels, and I sat down in it and held her hand, and every time I started to doze off, the wheels would move and I would wake up. But I got to stay with her. Finally, around daybreak, they did find a room for her. And she stayed in the hospital about 5 days. Early in her recovery, I called my mother and I said, I'm not a very good nurse. And my mom's response was, too bad. And I realized that was more for me than for Kelly. It wasn't too bad for Kelly, it was too bad for me because I had better learned to be a good nurse and fast. So Kelly was released, and a few days later, one of the sutures broke open, and infected pus was running out of her. So we went back to the doctor, and they said Kelly was going to need a medical ribbon. Now, I heard the word ribbon, and I thought, a nice box with Christmas wrapping on it. That's not what a medical ribbon is. A medical ribbon is a long, thin piece of medicated gauze that has to be stuffed into an open wound. Well, I was kind of squeamish, and I was really kind of freaked out about this because it has to be done twice a day, and I knew it was going to be me that did it. But Kelly reassured me, and the nurse showed me how to do it. And you know what? After a while, I got more relaxed, and I got actually pretty good at my ribbon management. Even critiquing one of the nurses that was very experienced in her ribbon skills at a follow-up visit. But Kelly recovered, and even though Kelly had been close to death and lost her appendix, I found the courage to provide care for her in a way I never thought I would.